body, mind, and soul. They're all connected. Coming up next, we'll show you how. How do you like the title, The Wellness Guy?
I like it.
You like it? Why?
Why? Because I like wellness. That's my passion.
Yeah. What is it about health that's really getting people into these new trends? What's the big buzz?
The big buzz on the internet, on social media is grounding, cold plunges, biohacking, autophagy, and intermittent fasting, epigenetics. I mean, the trends go on now. You're talking a lot about somatics now.
Wow. Now, you just said before coming in for this, you were taking the cold plunge?
Yeah, I was in the cold tub.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What's it like? Tell me.
Well, it's cold.
How cold?
Well,
do I stick my toe in it?
Well, if you want to, you could stick your toe into it. Well, what it is our bodies have to be a certain temperature. They're 98 degrees.
Right.
So when we go into cold water, it sends a message to our body that it's got to be in survival. So what happens to the body is a couple things. Cold plunges are a trend right now because, it's all over the internet, but a lot of people don't understand the benefit.
Is it good for you?
I wouldn't do it if it wasn't good for me.
Well, explain. What does it do?
Well, our bodies have to be 98 degrees.
Right.
So when you go in cold water, it's telling your body it's obviously not 98 degrees.
Right.
So a couple things happen. Most people think cold plunging is just for inflammation, bringing down inflammation. There's a lot more to it than that. Like when you go in the cold water, your body thinks that it's got to go in survival mode. So it releases these cold shock proteins from your liver. These scour the body and get rid of free radicals. They reduce toxicity. They give you a better chance of surviving in the water. Number one.
Every time you go into a cold plunge, it does this?
Yes. The first 30 seconds, you release adrenaline. And then if you have the right techniques down.
And other things.
If you learn how to breathe through it, after about 30 seconds, it starts to calm down. And now you start making dopamine.
Dr. Brian, do you need to, be tutored on this?
Yes. I would not jump into cold water without being a bit tutored. And what you do is you start simple. The last 30 seconds to a minute of your shower, as cold as you can tolerate. You start to build some toleration to the cold water. You can feel the release of adrenaline. You could start to get some of the benefits of the cold.
So I didn't know you did this at home.
I do. I have a cold plunge at home.
Really?
I do this consistently. And some of the big ones that people don't understand is that, when you go in cold water, you get more oxygen to your brain because the blood vessels in your arms and legs tighten to try to push the blood into your internal organs, but it also gets some of the benefit of more blood flow to the brain, which gets more oxygen.
Yeah, that sounds like a plus.
The biggest benefit, though, is the dopamine. When you go into the cold water, the first 30 seconds is adrenaline. Yeah. The next 3 minutes is dopamine.
Tell me more about that.
All right. Well, we need dopamine. That's the brain reward cascade. That's people who have addiction problems. What are they going for? Dopamine. Really? Alcohol, drugs, gambling, other things. We're trying to get dopamine from the outside in versus making it from the inside out.
So is this good for perhaps somebody who has a substance abuse problem?
Well, this could be something they could supplement with their traditional therapy to try to make more dopamine.
What else is trending?
Well, the cold plunge is trending, but there's other benefits also to that for the immune system. People who go in the cold, your vagus nerve, which is your parasympathetic nervous system, which is your rest and digest and relaxing part of the nervous system, it helps that part of your nervous system as well.
Wow. More of this amazing discussion in a minute, but first, please like, follow, and share The Phil Show now. A lot of us want to eat healthier and feel better and look better. It's only natural for the body. But what about for the soul? A lot of souls are starving for some kind of healthy food to help restore things like kindness. And we begin with ourselves. We're probably the hardest on ourselves. So let's turn that around. And once we do, start spreading it. Just a thought. Your comments are really important to us. So comment below because we really want to know what you're thinking here at The Phil Show Now. Now, back to the amazing discussion on The Phil Show Now. Any other buzz around for, let's say, 30-30-30 or grounding? Or
grounding. We're in an electronics world. We're surrounded by, you can't go almost anywhere without a Wi-Fi signal, without routers, without electronics.
All that stuff goes through us too.
It goes into our cells and our body's electric. If you read, there's an old book called The Body Electric, which is how electronics affect our systems and our cells and our nervous system. So what happens with grounding is that we have rubber soles on our feet.
Right.
And that doesn't allow us to ground. It separates us from the earth. And we build up these free radicals in our body. So every day, if you go out in the morning and take your shoes off and walk around on the grass, what are you doing? You're getting rid of some of those electronic signals that are built up that cause the body to not function right.
Really?
Yep. And an added bonus, if you get early enough and you see the sunrise in the morning,
right,
it resets your circadian rhythm, which is your body knows what's dark and light when the sleep cycles.
Interesting.
So going out in the morning for 3 or 4 minutes, barefoot walking around, you reconnect to the earth. You get rid of some of the free radicals in your body, and it's just grounding.
A lot of these were around with the ancient Greeks. Grounding, the 30-30-30. What has really struck you as, oh my goodness, this is amazing?
Well, some of these things, longevity, the trends of we want to live longer. No one wants to die any sooner than they have to. And the other thing is for better quality of life.
Go ahead.
Some of these things you might not live longer, but a lot of people in my office complain about when they get in their 50s and 60s and 70s and didn't take care of themselves. What happens is they can't do the things that they worked hard to do. They worked their butt off for 40 years to make a living in retirement, and then they can't go out golfing. They can't go out and walk their dog. They can't take the wheelbarrow from the backyard because they neglected their health. And I named my program Healthy Wealthy. That's why, because people try to build wealth in their younger ages and they burn through their health. And when you get older,
they pay for it.
They use their wealth to try to buy back their health.
So they go broke and die.
So the big buzz trends are like longevity.
Whatever got you into chiropractic, into living healthy?
Well, my dad.
Lifestyle.
Well, my lifestyle story is I had an injury. I had a traumatic head injury when I was younger, and it caused me to have some blackouts and some focus problems in school. We didn't know a lot about concussions back then.
Right.
So I went to traditional neurologist. My grades started going down. And what happened is I wasn't getting the answers that I wanted to. So you start reading, you start going to seminars. I happened to find my dad's a chiropractor for 47 years. I happened to go to a couple seminars and he started talking about these subjects, how your gut's connected to your brain, how you can help to heal your body from the inside out by doing the right things. And it's not about diagnosing or treating or managing diseases.
What is it?
It's about finding out the cause of the problem, not treating the effects of a problem.
Why do I have a little bit of a thing around me?
Oh, the waistline. Yes. Huh? I mean, here in our philosophy, the body doesn't make mistakes. When you eat more sugar than you need, what does your body do? It stores it for later use.
You know me.
Yeah.
How good to eternity, I think.
I hope so.
So you're saying that it stores it for
later use, a rainy day fund.
So what we ate last night has nothing to do with it?
Well, it has, but it's a consecutive thing over time. It's a process.
What do we do wrong?
Well, believe everything that we're told by, social media and
Oh, talk to me about this. There's so much misinformation, and we're spreading it.
well, yes, and we also live in an over-information age. There is so much information, people get action paralysis. They don't know what to do and what to believe, so they get overwhelmed and they get action paralysis. So now they don't take any action because they don't even know what to do with the confusion. And it's so many
terrible.
ideas. And there's a lot of people who aren't professionals, who aren't trained to do this, who give advice to people trying to make, money off of social living. And I get it. They make ends meet.
Sure.
They don't like their jobs, so they go online. But some of this information is partially true and somewhat false as well.
More of this amazing discussion in a minute. But first, please like, follow, and share The Phil Show now. Thank you so much. Let me thank the good folks at iGreen Landscape, your one-stop solution for your residential and commercial property management. Whether it's snowing or whether you're mowing, let Team iGreen handle your landscape and hardscape year-round. From spring cleanups to commercial snow management, I recommend the good folks at iGreen Landscape. Call for your complimentary consultation today. Do your patients, are they lazy? Do they come to you and say, give me the instant or the quickest remedy?
Most people in our country like the quick fix.
Sure.
That's the trends now. The weight loss injections.
Right.
All the Wegovy.
Do you believe in those?
Well, I know that they work, but what are the side effects of those? There are no quick fixes in nature. Nature pretty much provides you what you need.
Right.
And so what happens is there's a quick fix. Now, if someone was really extremely overweight and needed to lose 300 pounds and they were going to die, that might not be a bad idea. But for the average Joe who wants to lose 20 pounds, there's much better, safer ways to do it.
There's another but. And I want to put it this way. People don't want to work day after day after day and keep with it and, produce an organized path to their goal. Something disrupts them. And I don't know if it's today's lifestyle or what. What do you think?
It's distraction. And then there's the 6 P's of life. Proper planning prevents piss poor performance. So, the number one thing that people, when people come to my programs to lose weight, my Healthy Me program, is cravings is what kills people. They're addicted to food. Sugar is more addictive than cocaine. They've done studies on mice in a maze that they put out cocaine and sugar, and eventually the mice preferred the sugar because it's an addiction. We crave it to make energy, and then what happens is we keep craving it, and a big buzzword nowadays, insulin resistance.
What does that mean?
That means at the cellular level, if you eat sugar too much and too often, eventually your body's cells start to reject insulin. Oh. And insulin is like the key that opens the door to allow the sugar into the cells. The interesting part is that fat doesn't need a key to go into the cells to make energy.
It's interesting you say this because I just recently heard about type 3.
Oh, type 3 diabetes. Oh, like Alzheimer's. Yes, that's what they're calling it in Europe, type 3 diabetes.
Tell me more.
Well, just like in the cells of the body, the brain has cells, and we need sugar to get into our cells to make energy. Wow. Well, if we eat too much sugar and we eat too often, and I'll just, back in the 1800s, we ate about 10 pounds of sugar per year, every man, woman, and child. Right now, it's at 160 to 165 pounds.
Really? So is everything saturated with sugar?
Yes. And there's also some things, there's a thing called glycemic index and insulin index, and they're different. Glycemic index is how fast sugar gets into your system. Insulin index is how much insulin is released by a food when you consume it. The more processed the food is, the more the insulin response is. So something like whey protein has no sugar in it, but it has a big insulin response. And that could trigger the insulin resistance. And then if our brain doesn't make energy, what happens? Some of that sugar gets turned into plaque. The plaque in the brain is what they do for testing to find out if someone has Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's.
Wow.
So this is what's happening in the brain. We need.
So let me put you on the spot. As the Phil Show Now wellness guy,
Yeah.
what diet would you say is good, is healthy, is normal?
Well, I would say eating less and eating less often. We need to learn how to not eat all the time and not crave. Like if I was
By
somebody.
less often? What do you mean?
All right. Well, if I was someone who was giving advice to someone just starting,
Right.
we are grazers. We like to nibble on stuff all day long. And every time you eat, your digestive system has to get turned on. 70% of your immune system hangs out in your digestive system. So every time you eat, it's activating. The blood goes there. What is it doing? It's not healing your joints. It's not going to your brain. It's going into your gut.
I owned a diner for
Oh, boy.
33 years.
I heard about that.
Talk about nibbling and touching and
Yes.
tasting all day long.
So the first order of business would be to half your sugar intake and eat 3 meals a day with no snacking in between.
Yes, Celeste. That's my wife. No. Unbelievable.
Yeah. So then you'd work your way up to the intermittent fasting, which is another buzzword that's trending now, except a lot of people they use intermittent fasting to lose weight, not for the full benefits of what intermittent fasting is for insulin resistance, to help our nervous system, and longer rotational fastings. If you can get to those, I mean, there's huge benefits.
More of this amazing discussion in a minute, but first, please like, follow, and share The Phil Show Now. You can now watch The Phil Show whenever you'd like. Like, follow, and share The Phil Show Now. And catch us wherever you catch your favorite podcasts. Like, follow, and please share The Phil Show Now with a friend. The Phil Show Now. If you're ready to finally make your biggest dreams a reality, let my friend Jared Methia at Milestone Mortgage Solutions get you your next mortgage or your next home loan. Jared is a trusted local loan officer who works with some of the most reputable companies. Jared reminds me if you're a first-time home buyer or maybe you're looking to refinance. He says, go to him. And I, too, recommend Jared Methia, providing you with a stress-free experience. Call Jared today for a competitive rate, for quick approvals, and for one-of-a-kind personalized service. That's Jared Methia at Milestone Mortgage Solutions. Dr. Brian, tell me about transformation. You transformed from somebody from an injury into, look, you're an inspiration. You're an influencer.
I appreciate that, and I appreciate being on the show.
It's a pleasure. Now, do people have to have bad things happen to them in order to get the motivation to turn it around and beat it?
Unfortunately, a lot of people, that seems to be the trend. Yeah. They wait too long. There's not enough prevention. Right. And we always say an ounce of prevention's worth a pound of cure.
Why are we bored by it? Are we?
No,
what is it? What?
It's we are bombarded with quick fixes. It's the quick fix nation. Yeah. We want quick results. Yeah. So there's no working on it. And there's the problem is in wellness, there's not a lot of ways to measure how well people are. They go by how they feel, not by how they function.
Right.
Like metabolic syndrome, like getting a blood test for inflammation, getting your liver enzymes, seeing how your body, your cholesterol, your blood pressure, your fasting blood sugar, and your hip to waist ratio. That's what metabolic syndrome is. The government says that if you have 2 out of those 4 that are out of whack.
All right, but listen to me.
Okay.
This is life.
Yep.
I'm not going to be a robot and take this for that. And, I want to be normal. I want to have prime rib And I like the fat.
Yeah. Well,
But I understand it's not good for me.
no. You can have that. You can't have the potatoes and the ginger ale with it and the rice with it. But the order you eat food in, we were talking about this before, there's nothing wrong with prime rib, and that doesn't necessarily make you have high cholesterol. What happens is the excess sugar you eat gets converted to cholesterol. So if you eat the prime rib alone, I mean, carnivore diet is another big trending diet where people eat all meat,
Yeah.
and they get rid of fiber because a lot of people have GI problems, and they're realizing that too much fiber is not good either. It's not digestible. Gluten is a fiber. How many people have gluten sensitivity problems? So it's not necessarily the meat, but it's also where did that meat come from? Was it grain fed? Was it grass fed? There makes a huge difference in the amount of healthy quality of fat, the enzymes, the hormones that are in meat.
So is it better to have an animal that roams the range?
Yes,
Really?
absolutely. Grains, I mean, a lot of those animals aren't supposed to eat grains. They're supposed to eat grass. Grass has a lot of minerals and copper in it.
I love to learn. Teach me more. What else do you want to tell me?
Well, your gut is very important to take care of your gut. And again, it's like a conveyor belt, how fast the food goes through. So if the food goes through your gut too fast, you're going to have more like the runs, like diarrhea. If it goes through too slow, constipation. I mean, Henry Ford created the conveyor belt of a factory. If he speeded up that factory belt, what would happen?
Of course, you wouldn't have the...
Right, you get screwed up. So when food goes through the gut too fast or too slow and the pH levels aren't right, there can be problems. So even the order you eat food in, like if I was gonna, if you had potatoes, mashed potatoes, some rice and some sweet corn, and you had your steak, your prime rib, you should eat the prime rib first and then eat the potatoes and the rice last, because the fat and protein is going to block the absorption of some of that sugar.
No kidding. So I would take a little of this, a piece of meat, a little of that, mix them up.
Also, don't drink water while you digest, because
Why?
it dilutes your stomach acid. So you should drink your water before you eat, not during.
Tell me again, because I'm serious. I don't drink enough water daily.
Yes.
I am serious.
All right. So half your body weight in ounces is what you should drink in water per day.
Half my body weight.
Yeah. So if you weigh 200 pounds, you should drink 100 ounces of water a day.
I weigh 195 today.
and the water nowadays, if you get tap water, has fluoride, has other toxins, chlorine in it. You'd preferably get your own water. The healthiest water that I like to drink is like reverse osmosis water that I put a filter at my house. And then I add the minerals to it. I add either pH drops, a little bit of baking soda for alkalinity. And it's not as complicated as you think.
Can I buy something that already has that?
Some of them have it. There's pH balanced water. The only thing with that is, what does the stomach have to be when you digest food? Acidic. What happens when you drink alkaline water when you're eating? It dilutes your stomach acid. So again, you don't want to drink alkaline water while you're eating.
Don't tell me. I've been doing everything wrong.
No, not wrong. There's not a right and a wrong, Phil. There's a short and a long.
I like that. The wellness guy.
Yes, there's a short and a long. So
Doctor.
you do things in the right order and you simplify them. You take a couple things you're going to work on, and now what happens is you focus on those. You make them habits. It takes about 21 days to undo a bad habit, 21 days to introduce a new habit. That's like a 42 new you, 21 and 21.
Yep.
You get that habit down, now you get to the next habit.
What's 30, 30, 30? You're talking
30,
about 21.
it's something I learned about. Within 30 minutes of waking up, 30 grams of protein and work out for 30 minutes. And a lot of people don't work out the right way. They're doing too much cardio. They're not doing enough muscle building.
Like what?
Well, weight training. There's some statistics or there's some studies that have been shown the determining factor if you were to, God forbid, get diagnosed with cancer is how much muscle mass you had before you got sick.
Really?
And we'll talk about another trending thing, mitochondria.
What is that?
Those are the special parts of your cells that make energy. So You mix oxygen and sugar or oxygen and fat, that goes into the mitochondria, they make energy. They think that they were ancient bacteria that found their ways into our cells, and that's how our cells make energy.
No kidding.
So if you metabolize fat, you're making 30 times less inflammation and about 2 to 3 times the amount of energy than if you metabolize sugar, which is why people's brain fog, their focus gets better when they go on fasting or lower carb diets, and some of the trends, paleo, keto, Mediterranean diets, which are healthier fat. And so those are some of the other trends.
How about the Polychick diet?
The Polycheck diet. Well, I have a gut and nervous system and hormone-friendly diet.
Wow.
That's what I do.
What do you have for breakfast?
Me? Funny you ask. I usually, a lot of times I don't have breakfast or I fast. But on days that when I was starting, I found some biohacks into this, which was mixing some grass-fed butter and coconut oil into my coffee and having that in the morning. Because
Really?
It didn't have an insulin response. And what happened is that fat went into your system, and what happens, it made you not hungry. So you could fast longer. No insulin response, you could fast longer.
All of my family love those coffee drinks, you know.
Which ones?
The ones with the whipped cream and the extra,
Yeah.
extra.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those.
Yeah, not so good. Not so good. Not
Not
a good way to
good?
start the day. I mean, I used to be there
Ooh, that's
10 years ago.
So you're saying coffee isn't the best way to start the day?
Well, it is. It depends on what you're having and how much energy you're making. A lot of people feel like they need caffeine to get energy. Now, let's say you started making more energy than you needed. You wouldn't need the caffeine. Not saying that caffeine's bad. Again,
Right.
It depends on the person. But I used to rely on caffeine to get going.
Yeah, it's mental. I mean, if I have a cup of tea,
Yep.
I think I'm getting a little caffeine and I'm, boosted.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for longevity, for some of the things with brain function, there's nothing wrong with caffeine. It's why are you taking the caffeine?
But you didn't tell me your breakfast. Over easy, scrambled.
Well, you could do
hash
that, but just no
browns.
hash browns, no toast. You can do eggs over easy. You could do scrambled eggs. You can do hard-boiled eggs. I mean, I put eggs in my blender. Not recommending raw eggs to people for safety reasons, but I can do that myself.
What do you have for lunch?
Lunch is usually like a salad, something low carb. Sometimes I even go to Market Basket and grab some half a chicken with some vegetables and double order of vegetables.
So you have a little breakfast, right?
Sometimes
And lunch, dinner?
dinner. Dinner should be like protein and vegetables. You could make it simple. You could put some sheet trays and put some chicken with some broccoli and cauliflower, sprinkle some olive oil on it, and bake it in the oven.
Mm-hmm.
So you should have your protein, meat, fish, pork, beef, with vegetables, Brussels sprouts, asparagus, but try to hold back the white processed stuff. No white rice, no white flour, no, the grains. I mean, those are highly debated things, grains. But again, read Perlmutter's book on grain brain and how our brains are getting screwed up by too much grains and gluten and too much processed
Tell me
carbs.
more about the gluten, folks.
Yeah, well, we don't have we're one of the only animals that don't have the enzymes to digest gluten. And gluten has
Amazing.
been a big problem. Wheat, plus we have genetic modification of things now. We spray these with pesticides and herbicides, and it was killing the plants. And we used to have to hand do it around, and it would cost a lot of money. So they figured out ways to grow plants genetically modified so that they would resist some of these herbicides and pesticides, and they would grow faster. Now, time is money. So in the food industry, that's what happens. But what happens? You're not getting the nutrients in the food if you're growing it faster.
So do I need gluten-free even if I don't have a problem with it that
I
I'm
would say
aware
that
of?
would help you a lot with inflammation.
Really?
We are the inflammation nation. That's our country. So we have to learn how to deal with inflammation. And you name me a health problem that's not related to inflammation.
I can't because my arthritis.
Well, that's the ones you think about. But what about depression? What about anxiety? The receptors, the neurotransmitter receptors in your brain are swollen. You have high blood pressure. That's swelling of the blood. You've got joint problems. You've got sciatica, migraines.
Look at, I have trigger finger.
Oh my goodness.
Huh? I have to do that in order
Really?
Yeah.
So we are the inflammation nation.
guess
And
so.
what happens is our guts get swollen, our joints get swollen, and then when this happens, our body doesn't make energy efficiently. And now the trend is that, this is what eventually causes all the problems in our body.
So it's time to sit down and have a serious conversation with ourselves and do what?
Well, we have to have a plan,
Okay.
make it as simple to execute,
Okay.
and then have some accountability to get it done.
I like it. I'll buy it.
So that's
Yeah.
what people should
Oh,
do.
that's good. The wellness guy,
Yeah,
Dr. Brian.
that's
huh?
right.
That's great. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Like, follow, and please share The Phil Show now with a friend. The Phil Show. Remember the day when the neighborhood cop walked the beat? He'd talk to people and you'd get to know him. Is it that way nowadays? Watch.
Let me see it, Mari. Okay, out here, anything but, drop the keys. Drop the keys, that's a bucket. Oh my God. Yeah, nobody wants to cut, they lazy. Let me see some. The other cop was scared, he didn't want to hop in with the young bulls.
If you ask me, they represent police today. Until next time.